Don't prep guests often, but did give Sean Cunningham, Fox 40 in the Kings Beat podcast, kind enough to join us here on D'Lo and KC. I did give him a little prep during the commercial break that Sean is on this show for the sole reason of laying out his concert attendance for the upcoming summer. Sean, we can talk about Kings and Sasha and the NBA and the sweeps and all of that, but let's talk about what's important for those that are watching. This man is a connoisseur of the finest concerts that musicians can put out. Just look at the memorabilia behind him. We're entering hashtag concert season. Sean, where are we going this summer?
Well, it's definitely good to see you guys, first of all. It's definitely going to start this weekend because I got Bottle Rock, boys. I got Napa, 3 days. Cannot wait. And mind you, I book Bottle Rock every year before I even see the lineup because it's just cheaper that way, and it's my favorite time of the year, and it comes at the right time because basketball season's over for the most part for me, and yeah, man, I absolutely love it. Like, I get into an element there. It is a vibe. And
who's headlining Bottle Rock this year?
Yeah, they got like Lizzo, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Post Malone, Duran Duran, Wu-Tang Clan. I can't wait to see Lupe Fiasco again. He's there. Lil Nas X, Sheryl Crow. I mean, it's just an eclectic group of people. Bastille, if you're into that sort of thing. I like Bastille a lot. So yeah, I'll do 3 days of Bottle Rock, and then I think after that, nothing until Halsey at Hard Rock. I'm gonna go check out Halsey again, and that's like a string kind of concert too. Kind of string is what they're kind of billing it as. It's not like a typical her show, which I've seen her several times and enjoy. And then yeah, man, just I'm gonna try and see Foo Fighters up in Tahoe.
Who just announced a new drummer.
Yeah, about that. And then definitely out to I have Coldplay in San Diego I'm gonna hit at some point, and trying to mix in the Killers and a couple other little shows of hip hop around the way. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a fun summer.
Isn't Lizzo here this week?
She is. So she's in, I believe she's Saturday at Bottle Rock and then Sunday at Golden One.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, she's Sunday at the Golden One Center. I think Lotto's with her. James, what's your favorite Lizzo song?
I have no idea.
What about Lil Nas X? You big Lil Nas X guy?
Nope, I've heard the name.
Have you seen Lil Nas X?
No.
Okay.
Well,
maybe. That's an experience. Just don't Google him now. Google him later. Definitely Google him later. But yeah, that's a good. I know I've got. Are you doing the Blue Note Jazz Festival?
Yeah, so I'm gonna try and do that one too. I know Chappelle kind of is behind a good portion of that, and to see a great number of their artists come through. Soul Bloom is the other one I don't have locked down. Anytime I can see Jessie Reyes, I am in. She is just a lot of fun, and got to meet her a couple times.
We've got huge plans for Soul Bloom. If you need help,
yes, sir.
Boy, I might be I might be able to help you out with this one, believe it or not.
Oh, then I come to the right place.
Yeah, we got you. Yeah, Soul Bloom is going to be something. Blue Note Jazz Festival is the one I really need to find a way into, because that's Mary J. Blige and Nas is the two big headliners with Dave Chappelle.
It started last year too, right? Like they brought it into Napa last year, and I wasn't able to go. It conflicted with some stupid thing, but I'm not going to make it kind of a conflict this year. I want to go, so let me know. We're in.
Yeah, no doubt. We'll get that done. James has concerts lined up as well. We're going to the same places, James and I are. We're just not seeing the same act. You're going to the Chase Center to see Madonna. I'm going to the Chase Center to see LL Cool J.
Okay.
You're going to Allegiant Stadium to see Ed Sheeran.
Yep.
I'm going to Allegiant Stadium to see Beyonce.
Yeah,
man, that's a tough ticket.
I'll be honest. I got lucky with Beyonce because she announced the second show in Las Vegas, and I just got lucky. I just checked at the right time and got a face value seat. Just pure luck.
Sean is a king of that. Sean has a system.
I do.
He's not.
I don't like to share it.
No, that's okay.
There.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like there's a good system. Yep, I got you. I've had a few practices of my own, but no one better to talk music and concerts with than our guy Sean Cunningham.
Yeah, he's seen everyone everywhere. Yeah,
He has.
Almost.
It's a great placard. So that's I asked you this, but that's Jay-Z at Madison Square Garden behind you.
That's Jay-Z at the White House. That was the Jay-Z at the White House, and it's
no. Wait a minute, you weren't in attendance at that, were you?
I was not. No,
that would be the most Sean Cunningham thing ever. Yeah, I was there. Like I was at the White House. With you.
I have a family member who worked with the Obama administration before he was president and before he became, back when he was like a lawyer in Chicago. So went all the way to the White House, and we have a few friends, and I wasn't able to get the ticket, but I got something, as a result. Yeah.
That works well. It's right next to one of Sean's many Emmys that he has.
Yeah.
All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk basketball. Let's talk Sasha Mania, because I believe you were the first person who really came out there and definitively said, I believe the famous 90% Sasha's coming came from Sean Cunningham. What do you think after the Euro final, and what do you think the next steps are with Sasha Vujacic?
Yeah, it's interesting to see how many days, weeks go by before they jump into negotiations. Like what's the, like, do they let them hopefully have an answer before next month's draft? Although I told our guy Eric Rucker on the air last night on Channel 40 that I can't see having Sasha in Sacramento really impacting decisions that go into the draft. I think that they're kind of separate from one another. I think you still go into the draft if you can move the pick and better your team, you do that. Having Sasha's draft rights, if he doesn't come over, does that become even more of a bargaining chip? Can you move those? Does that have any value for somebody who's now dissed essentially 3 teams and coming over in Brooklyn, Cleveland, and now Sacramento? So no, I mean, I look, the Kings are very confident. It's something that they've had a confidence in since negotiations broke off last year. They're in a position to give him more money. They value him, and they've sent the whole arsenal. And even Sasha himself, in a quote, said they sent everybody but the mayor from Sacramento over to see us. And I know, even James made fun with the comment on Twitter with Mark Jones wanting to go scout Sasha. And yeah, I mean, it just seems like it's a foregone conclusion at this point. It's just how long does losing another, he lost semifinal last year, and now this year as champion, as he is the EuroLeague MVP. Does that still leave a hunger in his belly to try to check that box, or does he move on to bigger and brighter things and what's left to accomplish at this point for him, and go get that money, go play in the, best basketball league that there is in the world, in the NBA? So I think that's where ultimately he's going to decide. It's, if it's up to the Kings, he's here. They're going to be able to pay him more money, and they absolutely love the guy. So it'll be interesting to see how soon they can get something done. I don't think if this thing gets into, July or August, there's a reason to panic or anything like that. But hopefully they can get it done sooner than later.
Yeah, I think the deadline is sometime in July.
Oh, that's right. You're right. Yeah.
They have to lock him up by. But Sean, what kind of impact can he have? Because I mean, we debate this, and like we've gone back and forth on a little bit. I mean, I like him as a player. I like him as a rotational player. I don't know, at 27 and with him being like a 12-year European vet, like how much upside, quote unquote, you have. But like, is there something that you think that he brings to the table that the Kings don't have, or do you think he's just a nice piece to have?
Well, I think both can be true, because I think he definitely adds spacing. He definitely adds shooting. Those are at a premium in this league. But, I still think for a team that took vast strides in their basketball IQ from last year to this past season, I think there's a lot of still room to be done, and I think he brings that. But I really like some of the things that you come out of a playoff series with the Warriors, and just knowing some of the deficiencies that the Kings show throughout the season. And it's like, okay, yeah, defense is paramount in terms of something you want to accomplish, but I don't know that he brings that. But I can see that he brings a tenacity. He looks like a physical, gritty type player who cuts very, very well, and has a great feel for the game in terms of where spacing needs to be and how he can best impact the game. And I feel like he rebounds well, which is something that you might be able to do it EuroLeague, but how does that translate to the NBA? So in some of I think the one thing that will translate are the two things I mentioned. I think is cutting, is spacing, the shooting, and obviously just the tenacity that he plays with. He's not a quote unquote typical Euro player who might be a little bit soft. He looks like a guy who has some grit and physicality, and the Kings need that in the worst way.
Sean, you're notoriously the most level-headed Kings media member out there. Like you're never too high, you're never too low. You're guys, let's just wait and see.
Right.
Well, the 16-year drought is over. 48 wins in the books, a really compelling first-round series against the Golden State Warriors. What is your thought process on next season? And what are your expectations for someone who has seen a little bit of good and a lot of bad with this franchise?
Man, I've been waiting for this question to come up in the Kings Beat, because I know it's super, super early to forecast it, but no one has asked me. So I've been looking forward to it. So I'm glad D'Lo, I'm glad you brought it up, because now you have a sample size, right? And I feel like there is a world that exists that the Kings could actually do worse in the regular season and still be a better off team than they were this season. And kind of the calculus in thinking that is the fact that I feel like they're not going to have the moment of taking teams by surprise. They were obviously blessed with great health this past year. You see how that affects teams in the regular season. And you even kind of factor that in, like, okay, well, what if one of your guys goes down? How do you respond? How does your depth play a role? How does the in-season tournament that we're going to experience in December? None of us knows what that looked like yet. So these are all little things that kind of factor in there. And I think, look, 48 wins, that's fantastic. They were positioned to where they could have probably won 51 if they wanted to. But they took their foot off the pedal and kind of eased into the playoffs a little bit, and that's okay. So I feel like, you could go in and win 45 games, 3 less than you did this year, and position yourself just as well, if not better, to sustain a playoff run next year. So as long as they answer, look, you already know that you have a playoff team that you're bringing back, in my opinion. Even with some of the losses that you may have, be it a Harrison Barnes, a Trey Lyles, maybe both of them are back. Maybe you do add obviously you're factoring in a Sasha Vujacic. After that, you obviously have to make some acquisitions. You have areas of need. So it doesn't happen by osmosis, but if you're going into an offseason where every year Monty McNair has shown to address situations for the most part and address areas of need, I feel like this team can improve. They don't have to improve in the win column to be better, but I think that, if they're hovering right around 45 wins, I think that'll be a good thing.
Sean, Damian asked me earlier, is there a player out there that you think changes the complexity of this team moving forward, that you think is obtainable, that they could get via trade or in free agency, that could really shift who they are and like how far they can go?
Well, it's a loaded question, because I haven't identified one that I think is necessarily realistic, but certainly there are tons of players out there that are attainable. It's all about whether or not you're going to give up the farm for them or dramatically disrupt the core of the team. You look at someone like Jaylen Brown, he'd look nice in a Kings uniform, and he'd probably, judging by the way the Celtics have played, kind of welcome the opportunity at this point. Total joke there, but
Sean Holmes in the 24th pick,
right? Yeah,
call Brad. Let's get it done.
I mean, if the price tag for OG Anunoby and Pascal Siakam is high, what do you think that asking price is? But yeah, man, I mean, there's things that exist. There's possibilities that exist, and me, I think when we're talking about, I've been a kind of a broken record for the better part of 2 years, saying this team needs a bona fide 3-and-D. Hopefully a starting 3-and-D. I don't know that they can go and get that. Maybe Keegan Murray is that. I'm not convinced that he is. But upgrading a position like that, all the while adding a rim protector, likely a stretch 4 or something like that, is things you would like to do. But this team's bread is buttered when it comes to the trade area. I don't know that anybody exists like that in free agency is all that realistic and that could be that impactful. But yeah, man, you're looking at trades, and that's to me where you can make your biggest impact.
You mentioned Keegan. Do you think Keegan Murray still has a lot of development ahead of him?
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't know that he's a you know, you get in this conversation. I was having a good chat with our old buddy Aileen Voisin the other day, and like in this era of positionless basketball, which is nice in theory, but like if he's going to be your three, he's got to be able to take someone off the dribble. He's got to be able to drive and penetrate and do those things that you see a lot of these threes do. He's also got to have that lateral quickness to be able to defend a lot of these threes and even be bigger people beyond just a three, be able to even position himself to be a four. He feels like he's somewhere between a 3-4. In my opinion, he's almost more of a stretch four and just that corner three. That's what he's shown the ability to be. But if he's going to develop, I think those are some of the areas that he would have to develop, and also just get more of that dog in him. Like, just, you know, your rookie, he's feeling things out. It's still a rookie year, even though he played a bigger role as a rookie on this team than most rookies. And Mike Brown liked to point that out. Like, all these rookies are out of the playoffs. All these rookies playing on, you know, teams that are trying to find identities and establish roles within the NBA. He come in and he's, you know, he's asked to play a very specific role. So moving beyond that and being a little bit more forceful, I think is his next step. But yeah, whether he's a 3 or 4, you know, I feel like he's already suited better to, if, you know, you can digest and you can be fine in losing a Harrison Barnes if that happens, judging by the way Keegan Murray played this past year and knowing what's in store for him. So if you are losing Harrison Barnes, and I'm not saying that's the case, but you're kind of more better equipped if you do that with someone like Keegan Murray and the addition of Sasha Vujacic.
Sean, if you look at the core, and, you know, again, I'm not talking about Harrison or Trey because they're free agents, but
Right.
the core, is there a player there that you could see the Kings moving on from, that they're, I mean, and you know, when I'm saying more like the rotational pieces, is there one or two of them that you could say, okay, if the right deal came up there, they would move on from this guy, or they would consider it?
I think not without really getting significantly better. I think the one piece that kind of just pops up, knowing just that he has a few years left on his deal, he just signed, as Kevin Huerter, or signed obviously a couple years or 2 years ago, but knowing that he's got some security there, and I'm not saying that they would move him, but if you were having some, you know, a pick and you had to really spice it up and add some shooting, which is obviously at a premium in this league, he's the one to me that might make the most sense. But I'm not going out there looking to trade Kevin Huerter unless I'm getting something back and that's rather significant. And I don't think you go out there looking to shop him at all. I think if it comes to a point where you're looking at someone like, you know, some of these guys that continue to kind of come up in conversations, Siakam, Anunoby, Paul George, things like that, like, certainly you can have discussions and kick things around. And if that's what it takes, then that's what it takes, because with due respect to Kevin Huerter, all three of those guys would be upgrades.
Fine. Kevin Huerter and Rashawn Holmes.
Right.
There it is.
What's you mentioned his name. What does your gut tell you about Harrison Barnes?
Yeah, I'm a little I'm curious to still find out answers to that, in terms of I mean, everyone, you know, raves about Harrison Barnes and his impact on this team and what he does. And I don't know that anyone goes out and looks at the playoff series with the Warriors and, you know, comes to conclusions over the body of work of an NBA season. So obviously that was a very tough playoff series. And these teams in the modern day NBA are really built for the postseason. So it's a tough one. I also think, you know, the money that Harrison Barnes has made in this league, I don't know that in my world, if I'm playing the role of Monty McNair, that I'm all that comfortable in giving him the money that he's made. But certainly if you have a de-escalating contract, and whether he's starting or coming off the bench, I think he adds value to this team for sure. But he also adds value to a lot of other teams. I think it's going to be tough, though, because he's a free agent and there's not a lot of teams that have the room to get him. So sign and trade possibilities exist. And, you know, if Harrison Barnes is on your team around $12 to $15 million a year, you know, that's not so bad. But anything beyond that, I personally would get a little bit kind of cautious of, and it would have to make a lot more sense, especially considering you've got, you know, someone like Keegan Murray waiting in the wings, and you already have to add either another 3-and-D or a stretch 4. So I can envision both. I just don't think I have the answers from people I've talked to over the years to get a solid foundation or of belief that he'll be back one way or the other.
Sean, I know we're seeing Jordy's name come up in head coaching searches. Whether that happens or not, I know he just went to where do you go, to Greece or you go to Spain to
Lithuania. Yeah, Lithuania.
Oh, there we go, Lithuania. What is your feel? Do you think the coaching staff is back pretty much in its entirety for next season? Or do you think, a team like Toronto or one of these like powerhouse teams that have decided to move on from their head coaches makes more of a bid for Jordy at this point?
Yeah, I'm of the belief that having Jordy in the conversations certainly is certainly a good thing. I don't know that there's a situation with the names that are available. Given the names that are available, there's a situation out there that would curtail best for him. Certainly, you look at the finalists that was reported today in Milwaukee. I mean, you've got some pretty attractive destinations, and I think that when you're bringing in somebody like Jordy Fernandez, it might not be one of these caliber of teams unless they're going to go through some sort of not full reset, but semi reset. Because I don't think he's the best guy to go in through a full reset mode. I think you'd want a team that kind of maybe takes a step back or two, gives them a little bit of patience and doesn't have that, hey, we're championship caliber team to where all of a sudden we're hiring a first time head coach. And I also don't think that he'll be a guy that will jump to another staff given his title with Mike Brown as an associate head coach. So I don't think that, if say Nick Nurse or Mike Budenholzer finds a job, that he'll be the number one assistant or associate head coach, given that he's already got that position. So I'm fully expecting him to be back. I think Jordy is aware of that. I think he will be a head coach in this league. I just don't think it'll be this season. And I think it'll be at a year where, you don't have quite the caliber of teams available with the coaches that have, championship expectations as well. I think he'll be more of a easier way in kind of a guy where he takes over a team that, might be on a little bit of a bounce back, have an upward trajectory, but ultimately not quite there yet.
Are you surprised by what we're seeing in the conference finals? It feels like James and I have talked a lot about coaches and coaching today based on what we've seen through, 6 games of these two conference finals.
Yeah, like I'll be honest. I mean, it's snooze fest. These games are just rough. Like I like the storylines. Don't get me wrong. I'm still watching, and I love these storylines. I'm thrilled for a guy like Gabe Vincent, who I know real well, and I can always appreciate the Miami Heat just because of Eric Spoelstra, who in my opinion is the best coach in the league, and has never won Coach of the Year, which is just outrage. But that is so much fun. I didn't expect Boston though, especially given the history. I didn't expect them to lay down, and I love that moment with Charles Barkley and Gabe Vincent on the set of TNT last night, where Gabe's just trying to be the ever great pro and talk up, not get too high over a big win like that, and even though you're staring at a sweep in this series, you're still going to respect your opponent. And Barkley's just like, you ain't been watching the series then, because they just absolutely laid down. And I didn't expect that. It seems like there's so much going on over there in Boston that it's that'll be interesting to see how things shake out in the coming weeks once they're bounced. But in Denver and the Lakers, it's like this is kind of what probably should have happened. Like, I think the Lakers are kind of running their course, and all the dreck that was muddled up there in the West, Denver has been head and shoulders the best team out of the West, and they're showing it right now. I mean, what Nikola Jokic does every single night is just incredible. He looks like Pugsley Adams and just goes out there and just destroys dudes, and does it in just the slowest way possible, and just most maddening way possible. And that image of him sinking that 3 to go into the fourth quarter over AD and Anthony Davis just looking around like, what am I supposed to do with that? It was nuts. And so super happy for guys like Michael Malone and Ryan Bowen, who have Kings ties, and like to see, if it ends up at Denver, Miami NBA finals, I'll be sitting there fully entertained by that series. But Yeah, this has been a snooze fest, and it just goes to show, like, even that first round series that we thought was going to be so great between the Kings and Warriors, and we knew that it was, to see it kind of bear fruit and still be the best series that we've seen all postseason. It's nice. It's a nice little feather in the cap for Sacramento.
Sean, you mentioned Michael Malone. We had a blast covering Michael.
Yeah,
he's a good dude, and even the post Michael Malone era, every time he comes to town, he's always got a bunch of love for reporters here in Sac, and we've had relationships with him for a long time. How happy are you for him to see him on this stage, to see him be so? Damian likes to say he's angry.
Yeah, he's angry.
Right.
He's angry, but also like he's standing up for his guys. He's doing what Michael Malone's always done. And for me, it's really cool to see what's happening with him. But what are your thoughts on Michael?
Yeah, he's a quirky dude, man. I mean, all coaches are. They're all a little crazy. He's so quirky, and I love his brutal honesty, not only to his team. He'll still, love on his guys, but he'll be brutally honest with them. And for him to be back in this stage and doing it against a team that kind of had their number at one point, and he's been through a lot with that organization. So is many of those guys, and they get this is what they envisioned. It's like, this is the year you finally have, a guy like Jamal Murray healthy and Michael Porter stepping into his own to help out a two-time MVP, and can Malone get it done? And they're doing what they're supposed to do, and he knows it, and he knows what he's been through. And Malone, it's funny, like, he hasn't changed one bit. Like, he's exactly the same guy as he was when Vivek hired him in that first press conference, and still has a lot of, I guess I think I might agree with Damian there. A little bit of rage there. I think he has a little bit of a short-sighted or us against the world type of mentality, and rightfully so. He's not wrong. I think I mean, everyone is always, not factoring them in. They go out there and are the number one team in the West, and no one's picking them. So good for them, man. Yeah, I'm with you there, James, because he is a lot of fun to get to know, and his love for it's funny. He comes back, he's got love for the city and the fans here, and he always shouts them out. And he'll also take sometimes a barb or two at what's going on when things aren't going well, and allude back to how he feels like there was unfinished work here. But the thing I always admire most about him is what he says about this city, and it's not just lip service. The guy still keeps a 916 number, so I think it's for that reason.
He's protective of his players, particularly of Jokic. He's very protective of Jokic, and I appreciate that. And he's protective of his team, and you can see that this series where he's complaining about, we won game one, and everybody was talking about how the Lakers came back. That was your guys' story. The Lakers came back and they figured it out. And here we are. We're, potentially a couple of hours away from them shutting this thing down 4-0. And that's, and making their first trip to the NBA Finals. That's tremendous for him, for this group, and for Nikola Jokic as well. Because Nikola Jokic is one of those guys who's discussed a lot. He's he just doesn't look like the best player in the NBA, but he is. Like, he just
right.
Like, he doesn't look like it. He's not the poster, but he is. Like, he doesn't look like LeBron James. He doesn't look like Giannis Antetokounmpo. Hell, he doesn't even look like Joel Embiid, but he's that guy. And this playoff run, if it was a fun MVP conversation for sure, but this playoff run, I think, really is kind of made it definitive. Like, he's the best player in basketball right now.
And Damian, to that point, like, he also looks like he doesn't care if he is. Like, he doesn't, like you said, I almost sometimes wonder, like, I don't think he even thinks he's the best player on his team. Like he's that comfortable in his own skin and with that team to be able to, like, all right, great. If Jamal Murray's going to go off like he did the other night, great. Like, he doesn't have to go out and get his, and Jamal Murray comes out in that second half, and there's the Lakers make the adjustment, and it's like, all right, no, now Joker has to go be Joker. And he did. It's incredible. Total team mindset. It's the ultimate buy-in, and yeah, it's not the sexiest, and it's not going to be the poster child for the NBA. I argue he could have won the MVP. Not that I would have voted for him, but he could have won the MVP and still wouldn't be the poster child for the NBA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wouldn't. Sean, great stuff as always, man.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. Well, I'm excited. We might be hitting our first concerts together. Me and Sean Cunningham, baby. Couple of music festivals, man.
It's a buddy comedy right there.
There it is.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait. Napa's I love, first of all, Bottle Rock's great. Now you got this Blue Note Festival that started in New York. Oh man, I cannot wait. Cannot wait.
Have a blast this weekend, man. You know, I'll be
Appreciate
watching all of the stories. We appreciate you, brother.
All right, man. Thanks.
That's our man Sean Cunningham right there. Fox 40 in the King's Beat.